right, there we go. All right, cool. So again, these don't actually go like 30 minutes to an hour or anything like that. Usually it's a lot less. Just letting you know.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
just work through whatever like question you might have right now. And of course we'll give you something to work on probably if we can, and then we can schedule another one in a few weeks or in another month. You know.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
so what did you want to go over today then?
I just wanted to go over the the double man block.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I go over them a lot in webinars, and there's nothing more to them, as I usually say, than the last stop move, followed by one more last stop move, and you take the sell stop of that, and that's your double MB, right? Like, that's pretty much it. If you can see my screen right now, MB number
Yeah.
one, the next one starts to mitigate it, that's MB number two, you sell stop it, and that's profit right there, right? Same goes for buys. I mean, I'm going to find good examples right now because I'm not going to sit here and find and just go through every single one. Like this, not double MB, right? MB1 never gets mitigated. Unlucky, nothing here to take. This is an example right here, though, right? You have your last down move right here. Price gets above, begins to trade into it. Now, either you count this as your double MB, or you can just go as simple as this. That's your double MB. Buy stop above the high, right? That is basically the buy stop, or you can, of course, do the 50% rule. It usually does not happen, though. Usually, after double MB, it'll kind of run on the buy stop. But if it comes back, then great. You have an entry there. And then this is profit. Now, again, this is an example of where it doesn't run super far. Sometimes when you converge this with higher time frame stuff and find this exact same setup on a lower time frame, you have moves that can run a lot more. Like, for instance, if you saw this break a structure right here, and then you took this POI, so this mem block, and then made it into like 50% or something, right? Just refined it. And then looked in here on the lower time frame for a confirmation, such as a double MB, there's going to be a lot more probably confirmation in there that could have taken you short. So let's go and take a look at that. I mean, here there could have been some stops out, but I mean, this looks like something that you wouldn't even trade. You'd probably be waiting for price to, like, here is an example of where it might have been a loss, right? So you have your last up move right here. That's your last up move. Gets validated right there. Actually, yeah, it actually works. Here's your second move into it, double MB, right? MB1 gets validated right here. MB2 starts to test it, so it gets validated there. That's where you sell stop, and that's profit. Then you either stop, get broken even, or you've partialed, and then that's great, right? The next one would be the last up move before the down move. It's this one. Price breaks down. This is an example of one that would be much larger, but it is still valid, right? Number two would be this one. This whole thing reaches back up into it, right? The validation is here. That's where you sell. Stop loss above the high. And we're off to the downside, right? And that's all profit. Now, similarly, the lower you get, the better your confirmations are going to get. So if we go and find another area, for instance, where you could have looked for as a POI, let's just go find something that actually held as a point of interest. So just looking for a really good example, you know? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So this is a decent example, right? So price breaks down. Price is definitely bearish. Price breaks bullish, so you know this is a POI, and basically if you see confirmation there, you know you want to go bullish to the next liquidity. So we know that worked out, which is great. And now, again, this is how you go and test any entry criteria, but you go in here, and we go and find out how it is we could have gotten involved. You go take a look at the 1 minute then, and you, again, be honest with yourself about the overall zone. So when price got in here first, right, here's your MB number one, gets validated, MB number two, and that's a buy, right? And again, that's all profit before it gets wiped out. Again, right? Now you can go again and follow it. MB number one, right? Last down move. MB number two. That's all right there. Profit. Again, same thing goes. Here you have MB number one. Number two never gets created and it runs, right? So this is an example of where double MB would not have gotten you involved, right? Now that's not to say that there isn't something inside of here that would have given you a setup, right? So if we go and take a look at that exact area on a much lower time frame again, okay, we can't get that low, but if we could, you'd probably see something like this. It would probably work because inside of that 1 minute, what you have is, you know, this. And then when price does this, it could do that. And that's your double MB already. Why? Because here's your MB1 as your down move, break a structure, begins to mitigate it. That's MB number two. And you buy stop that high. You see that? So again, I don't use double MBs to get involved. But that is how you view them. Do you understand?
It helps out a lot with the like direction. For me, like I can see, I even draw it like it stays as a candle.
I mean, I use it myself for direction like this, right? So if I know that I'm looking to buy from here and I see this break a structure, instead of going in here and going, okay, I have this S&D zone, I have this S&D zone, this one, and all these zones, I go, okay, well, the move that created that was this, and I can refine that to 50% or so, because that's what an MB is, about 50%, which actually lines up perfectly with this MB right here, which we can refine to 50 if we want again, right? To line it up with like some areas in here, but that's refinement. Right, so when price gets here, I'm not confused about why it's coming here. So I'm not looking at this, for instance, as a break of structure right here. I'm looking at that as just mitigating the previous structural point, right? Same thing goes here. This is a break of structure down. So the last out move is pretty much this one, or you could use the overall area. So when price gets here and begins to look like it's bullish and breaking structure, I'm not looking at this as bullish price. I'm looking at it as the potential continuation of bearish, right? So I'm still bearish, as you can see. Right, despite the fact that it's in this demand zone. So like a lot of people might be watching this demand zone right now to buy, and again, it's not wrong to, but for me, I'm looking for ways to sell into it. Either we sell into it from here, or we get to sell into it from up here, right? Something like that. And that's again how you can use MB to spot where you are in the market and where the more likelihood of mitigation is going to happen. If you want to confirm actual entries using MBs, a lot of them are going to be, the better ones are going to be on lower time frames. So just as a mini example, you have like stuff like this. Okay, actually no, that one didn't work, so let's not talk about that one.
I use, you know what, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I use the impulses like that, right? The whole area. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is an MB right here.
Yeah, like that.
Break higher, yeah, and then this is your double MB, right? And then you basically look to buy stop to top, right? And that's your buy up. That's your double MB confirmation. Right.
I don't really use buy stops, but I like to wait for pullback either at the open or if there's a candle here.
I mean, yeah, so in this case, I guess you do get the open, but again, the open is the same thing as buy stopping if you think about it, right? A buy stop here, a buy stop here is the exact same as price getting above and then you setting a limit here. Either way, you're going to be tapped in here or here, right? It's like if it goes like this, you're already set to go in. So whether it goes higher here and gives you money on the thing or comes back and tests it and then goes way lower, either way, you're getting into the trade and losing it if it goes down. You see that? So if you are using the open, there's no reason not to buy stop if you understand what I'm saying here.
Okay, there's a one setup that I have. I love because I don't even use the high. I use the high time frame for direction, but most of the time I'm always on the lower. On Euro AUD, for a buy on 1 minute, I mark it up and then I used it. I took a trade. 1 minute.
I'm looking at it. This one, somewhere here.
Like right over here, right inside of that zone.
Yeah, there's definitely a double MB in there. I can like see it from out there, but like technically, if you look at this, right, without even going to higher time frame, you have this break of structure, which means you're targeting this now, and you're looking for price to get back into some MB here. So we can just go like this, and then we can go and confirm that with a double MB. So what we do is we'll go in and we'll watch it unfold, right? Last down move gets mitigated, never comes, keeps going lower. Okay, last down move doesn't get higher. Great, last down move. Okay, so this could be your MB right here, or you wait for the real last down move. So it's this one right here. Right, or this one. Either one's fine, but this one's the actual MB. Price gets above it. As it begins to mitigate, that's your double MB, and you can buy the breakout of that or the retest of it, and now you're taking that to the top side, targeting up there, but partialing along the way, of course. Hold on one sec, I'm getting a call. Hello? Yeah, this is him. Oh, cool, okay. Hi. Yeah, of course. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hold on, I have a quick question. Could we do this could you give me a call back in about 15 minutes? Sure. What number do I give you a call at? Yep. Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye. All right, sorry about that, dude. So yeah, that would be your double MB entry then, if you're looking at double MBs.
Yeah, I took those. I took this one,
Yep.
after here. Yep. And
Yep.
then now, right?
Yeah, I
What
mean,
I
that's
do,
fine.
yeah, I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, but it's I mean it's working. Like this one, I use it. Okay, I paint it as blue as a buy, and then this whole thing as sell, and I sold here. Same thing again here, here. You know, and right here I have a sell. Even if it's a little bit, I have a sell right there, right here, because this one is the whole big move, and then we sold. We get into this area, this imbalance. I'm
I mean,
targeting.
sure, yeah, you can. That's perfectly fine. If that's the way you want to see the market using just MBs, that's perfectly fine, right? It's just going to come down to just testing it a lot. Like it's perfectly fine to view it like that, right? I've done webinars like that where I drew them out like that as well. Again, you're looking at basically a higher time frame breakdown and structure, right? So like if I was watching this, I'd still already also be looking at this as a break and looking to sell in here, right? Looking to sell in here. Again, you're looking at these exact same zones, but just selling the breaks of structure is not always going to be good. Maybe it is for you. So by all means, if you like it, then like it's great. Like even this cell is working right now. If it's probably going to get here, that's great. But I myself, like I understand that. So when I look at structure like this and I know there's an MB in here, for instance, and it breaks down, I'm already looking for confirm in there, right? So my entry ends up being, if we go and look at the actual structure within there, my entry becomes being this breakdown right here, because that's inside distributing into it, and then I sell into the distribution, right? And then I can take that lower, and already like I'll be partialing here, and that's already about 1 to 2, 1 to 1.5, and I can take that lower now, right? So I'm still reconfirming the zones even though they are correct, right? So I have confirmation within confirmation almost, right? But the way you're looking at it is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just viewing the multiple larger orders, you're viewing the larger structure, which is great because, you know, I stress the importance of the structure on the higher time frames, and you're using it to get involved along the way. The only hard part, honestly, like if you've tested it and you know that the MBs are going to be successful and hold over a long period of time, then it's perfect and it's actually a really good strategy. I haven't tested it to that extent. Other people have. Like some people have gotten to like 80% win rate with just MBs, so it's great, right? But you just need to make sure that you've tested it properly and you understand how you want to see them develop, right? Like, are you getting involved on the second MB of a move, on the first, on the third, or do you need an imbalance to be filled on the left that you want to look to get in on MBs, right? Like, there's questions that you're going to have to make an answer for yourself over time, because if you just, for instance, say wherever the MBs are, there's going to be times where like there isn't a criteria that will start getting you stopped out a lot more, and you'll be like, what the fuck's going on, right? Especially if you go live and it begins to do that. So as long as you have a clear representation for yourself about what RR you want to target, the type of MBs you want to get involved on, or if honestly you have one time frame that you watch and the MBs on that time frame, every time you've tested it and looked at it ends up being like positive RR by the end of a month or something, then you know you're set. That's a great system, right? You understand what I'm kind of saying? So like I haven't even given the proper amount of testing into MBs as other people have, probably even as you have, which is great. But it also means that you need to make sure that, you know, when you're trading them, you've refined a system for yourself, right?
They're working. They're working good. Because I use 3 type of confirmations, right? I also use like the institutionalized candles with man blocks, or I don't know
Yeah.
the name.
Then that's perfect. That's perfectly fine, right? That's good.
Also, imbalances, I know about them. And then when I drew them like that, they look like candles. So that kind of like gave me like a haha, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I've been back testing them for like almost a year, you know.
Oh,
And then
okay,
I
perfect. Then you're like in a good boat. You're doing great then.
yes, I said, and I got this breakthrough. So I was just, you know, wondering that
Yep.
I can use this on higher time frame, but it's more complex when
Yeah,
I use
exactly. So you can use it on the higher, but again, it's going to switch around a lot more and it's going to change up, right? So like at this time right here, you might be looking at this, right? Like this is probably what you would be looking at for a while until it failed. And here's your down move, and you'd be looking for the sells all the way in here. But again, like this one doesn't hold, right? So this is an example of an MB that if you just like try to get into every single time it gave you a setup, could really be detrimental, right? But if at the same time you saw, for instance, you saw all these setups, right? So if you saw
it depends on the area, it depends on the area.
exactly, so if you saw all of these setups though on the way, well then holy shit, you know, you're in a really good spot because these were all, I mean, here we go. All of these were fantastic entries to take all the way, to take all the way up, right? So like, I mean, it just doesn't stop, and then it finally fails at one point. There's your up move. Finally fails here, and then it puts in a new one just now, right? So you now have that one, right? So now you're in this, right? So again, if you were just watching this, really unfortunate because you miss all this, right? But if you're watching these, then you got, you know, 1 entry, 2 entry,